Life is not black and white. There's a lot of gray. And very often, because things are not definitively clear, one makes mistakes. Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest Jew ever lived, he meant well, but he made mistakes. And the mistake was one of the most grave mistakes of his life. It wasn't considered a sin, but the mistake had grave, unlimited, irretrievable consequences. We read in the Torah that after we had left Egypt, 50 days later, we come to Sinai. And God makes us an offer to become his chosen holy people. And it's only through accepting his law, his prescription of life, and all that entails. And we as Jews declared, Naaseh v'nishma. We will do and we will listen. We unequivocally accept to become your subjects. God was so overwhelmingly impressed with our response, he declared to his heavenly retinue, Mi gila roza labonai, who revealed the secret to my children. They speak like angels, because only the angel who's created to do the will of God, who has no self, its being, its essence is only as God's agent. My children, the Jewish people, although they have choice, they've come to a level of commitment and negation that's selfly dedicated to my will, that they should accept upon themselves a level of responsibility which they're not even aware the extent, to become my people. And this is contained within the declaration of Naaseh v'nishma. Moshe ascended to heaven for 40 days and 40 nights. He said, I will be back after 40 days. The Jewish people, due to a misunderstanding, miscalculated the time, and they had believed that Moshe should have returned. Satan, he does his work. Immediately, he caused the heavens to become dark, and the Jewish people had seen the remains of Moshe being carried in the sky. And they said, Moshe, the man, died, he's no longer alive. And immediately, the rabble, there were hundreds of thousands, maybe more Egyptians who left Egypt with the Jewish people. Pharaoh had sent out hundreds of thousands of Egyptians to leave Egypt with us at the time of the Exodus. And they initiated the golden calf, which was considered idolatry. And this is happening while Moshe is in heaven at the end of the 40-day period, about to bring the godly holy tablets with the 10 commandments to be given to the Jewish people. This is the equivalent of the marriage contract. God says to Moshe, Lech reid, you must descend immediately. Ki shiches amcho, because your people became corrupted. So Moshe immediately asks God, what do you mean my people became corrupted? They're your children. Why are they my people? So God says to Moshe, when the rabble left Egypt, did you consult with me to allow them to leave Egypt? Why did you consult with me? I would have told you under no circumstance. But you didn't consult with me. And that's why The idolatry was introduced to the Jewish people through this rabble. Therefore, it's your people who became corrupted, and therefore this disaster is about to end. Moshe immediately descends, and from the mountain he sees how the Jews are involved in the golden calf, celebrating its existence, dancing in worship together with the rabble. He immediately takes the tablets, he smashes them at the foot of the mountain. And now it's not so simple. God says to Moshe, I will destroy them. And Moshe has to supplicate God for another 40 days and 40 nights until God says, I have forgiven them. Moshe now ascends for a third 40 days for the Jewish people to be reinstated as his chosen people, and a second set of tablets are given to confirm this reinstatement of the Jewish people. But the question is, why didn't Moshe consult with God? Everything else, Moshe is referred to as Ish Elokim. He's the man of God. Every trace of his being was dedicated to God's service. There was no I, there was no id in regard to Moshe Rabbeinu. Nachnu Mo. God attests to the fact he was the most humble person who ever walked the face of the earth. Why did he not consult with God? It definitely, chas v'shalom, God forbid, it was not his ego. He felt it's not necessary. If it would be ego, I would understand it. But if it's not ego, why didn't he consult? So, the way to understand this would be, seemingly, why did we initially go to Egypt? Because Avram had the opportunity to take pagans and convert them to monotheism. That's why we were in Egypt initially. Now Moshe has an opportunity to take hundreds of thousands of pagans, Egyptians, and bring them under the wings of the divine presence. It's a simple answer. What is the question? If I don't, it's recreating the old problem. We're going right back to bondage. Because we were only in bondage because Avram missed that opportunity. Now we have this opportunity in multiples, in terms of numbers. How could I not take advantage and allow these people to come with us to Sinai, become devout monotheists, and become part of the Jewish people? This is why Moshe did not consult with God. However, there's an obvious differentiation between Avram and the situation with Moshe, with the rabble leaving Egypt with the Jewish people. When Avram existed, there was no Jewish people. Each person who was converted to monotheism was another person made into a believer. Now, we're dealing with a totally different situation. We're dealing with a Jewish people, an entity who's rooted in holiness. These are the descendants of Yaakov Avinu. Jacob, the most special of the patriarchs. The matriarchs, Rachel and Leah, and the maidservants. The roots are holy roots. We have a holy entity. How do we allow a foreign element to infiltrate this entity? It's something which is very, very dangerous. Because to the slightest degree of influence, you putrefy what's pure. Moshe Rabbeinu, this is the point he did not see. Avram, there's no putrefaction. Every person was considered something which was invaluable because it's taking a pagan and converting him to be a monotheist. It's another gain. Here we're holding at the ultimate level any infiltration to any degree of negative is a diminishment of what's most pristine and what's holy. And that's why God says to Moshe, immediately descend, because your people became corrupted. You should have consulted with me. So although Moshe Rabbeinu's intent was pure, it's unrelated to ego, but it was a misunderstanding of comparison, which a comparison was not a comparison.